what about archaeology? Now, we don't have time in our study today to go through all of the many facts that agree with the Bible through archaeology. The locations and geography, the people that archaeology agrees exactly with the Bible on. But I do want to go through one, and it's called the Pilate Stone. So for many years, people said that the Bible was in error because they didn't have any archaeological record of this guy named Pilate. And this is the guy that actually had Jesus crucified until 1961, when his name, title, and location where he served was found on this stone. And this is the man who had Jesus crucified, and this stone is lovingly called the Pilate Stone. Now for some incredibly compelling evidence. If I wanted to prove to you that someone was an all-around cool guy, what would be the best way to do that? Would it be to ask your friends? Or ask the person's friends who it might, if they were cool? That'd be okay, but what about if I asked their enemy and they agreed that this was an all-around cool guy? That would be the greatest evidence of all. Now keep in mind our court of law thing we're dealing with here, and as we're presenting the evidence. For the crushing evidence at the end here, even the enemies of the cross admitted the facts and the results of it, just like the supporters did. Now, there's a number, we're going to go through three of them. First is Pliny the Younger. He tried to destroy Christianity. He said, this was in 111 AD, he said they met on a stated day before it was light and addressed a form of prayer to Christ as to a divinity. This next guy named Tacitus in 115 AD, he wrote, Christ was killed on a cross under Pontius Pilate, and this religion broke out right after. Now, this third guy named Josephus, and when I even say Josephus, many of you are going to say, hey, highly contested. But what most people don't know is that Josephus wrote about Jesus in two different places. And yes, one is highly contested, but the other is not contested at all. And that's exactly the one that we're going to discuss today. It's in his book 20, chapter 9, he mentions, so Josephus was a historian. He wrote many books of history, and he's accepted by most historians as being accurate. In book 20, verse 9, he said, the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James, just as the Bible records. So our evidence that we've presented is the creed started within days or months of the event. All the books of the New Testament were written before 70 AD. They were all written with eyewitnesses still alive. The disciples were willing to die for the resurrection. Archaeology always supports biblical claims. Ancient sources who hated Christianity confirmed its reports. Have we proven beyond all doubt? Of course not. But I think we have shown that these things are not only possible, but they are probable. Just like you would in the court of law, and for an event that happened in the past, this is the same kind of evidence that they would use. So, where does this leave us? Where does it point us? We've shown that truth exists, that God exists, that miracles are not only possible, but they have actually happened, and that the New Testament has compelling evidence that it is telling the truth about the resurrection. Now, the choice is yours. What are you going to do with this information? This is your eternity we're talking about. So I want to encourage you, choose wisely.